Ah, it's getting toasty. Another toasted bourbon has hit the market. This time, it's Basil Hayden, also sporting a new mash bill that's supposed to drink even smoother. Even smoother. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from themashanddrum, and today we are reviewing the latest release from Jim Beam. Now, Basil Hayden, part of the Jim Beam small batch collection since 1992, has mostly been known for a high rye mash bill and the fact that it's only bottled at a session sipping 80 proof, which, as much as whiskey enthusiasts may complain about, isn't changing anytime soon. However, for this new release, we are saying goodbye to the high rye mash bill and making way for using brown rice instead, which is meant to give Basil Hayden Toast an even sweeter taste. As you may or may not know, brown rice is not an unfamiliar grain coming from Jim Beam. A few years ago, they released their signature craft brown rice bourbon, part of the Harvest Bourbon collection releases, and last year's Little Book Chapter 4 also used brown rice bourbon in the blend. Basil Hayden Toast and Little Book Chapter 4 are crafted from the same brown rice bourbon stream, said Freddie No. However, the crucial difference occurs when a portion of the bourbon is placed into a secondary toasted barrel and aged for approximately 2 months before being blended back with the remaining brown rice bourbon, which has been rested in level 4 char barrels to create toast. Now, a bottle design change and a subtle name change has also come with this release and throughout the entire lineup. We've all come to know it as Basil Hayden's with apostrophe S, but now, as you can see, it's now become simply Basil Hayden. It's singular, with this updated label design featuring a new BH belt that's meant to mimic the metal hoops on the bourbon barrels. All right, so we will definitely compare it to regular Basil Hayden's as we go along. Well, I mean, I think it's all changing to Basil Hayden, but let's give this a pour. Now, usually with toasted bourbons, I'm glad I tried this the other night, actually on my live stream, before I did the review, because I did want this to get a little bit of airtime to see if any more flavors come out. Usually toasted bourbons, for some reason, the more airtime they get, the better they get. So we'll see how this goes. This is available now across the United States. Suggested retail price of about 50 bucks for a 750 milliliter bottle that comes in at 80 proof. All right, so before we try this, while you're here, might as well subscribe, might as well like the video, and let's try it. Here we go. All right, so this hasn't changed too much since the last time I tried it. I'm still getting some of those, like toasted oak notes, which I think is what you want. But I'm also getting some graininess. Now remember, the brown rice bourbon that, Freddie No said was in the same stream from the Little Book. Now, the Little Book one was only a 4-year-old brown rice bourbon, so not sure if it's been aging most of this time, if now this is still 4 years old, or if it's 5 years old now. They don't really tell you, but it is a younger bourbon. Get a little bit of orange here, slight hint of marshmallow, nothing crazy. It's very light on the nose, as you would assume for an 80 proofer. Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how much orange I'm getting in here, knowing it's, the rye is, gone, but getting a good amount of orange. Yeah, orange, vanilla, a little bit of toasted oak, maybe a hint of marshmallow, but again, it's pretty muted, not a lot going on. Let's give it a try. The first sip, you actually get a little bit more spice than you would think for an 80 proofer. But yeah, this is easy sipping, easy sipping. Yeah, it's really sweet. I mean, the toasted oak notes definitely come through. A lot of vanilla. You get some nice caramel notes, some caramelized sugars, which also could come with the toast as well. All right, second sip is just where everything goes to die. The second sip is just, It's just vanilla, caramel, some toasted oak, maybe the slightest hint of, again, that little bit of a toasted marshmallow note. Again, a lot of citrus though. Still getting like a combination of orange, vanilla. But yeah, I mean, it's so, I mean, yeah, the epitome of a session drinker, you know, just throw this in a glass, some ice cubes, and just you could sit and drink this all day. Actually, some of the nuttiness that we're familiar with Jim Beam comes through, that little bit of a nuttiness characteristic as well. All right, I'm gonna pour the old Basil Hayden's. So this is just the, you know, this is the standard high rye mash bill. Again, 80 proof. Let's see what the differences here are on the palate and see if any of you Basil Hayden lovers out there, how they compare. For all you Basil Hayden's lovers, here we go. Wow, it's actually completely different on the nose when you compare. The Basil Hayden's, the regular one, is far into the rye category. Definitely get more of the rye bread on the nose. The citrus is still there, but man, coming off this, you just smell rye bread, really, to me. All right, let's sip the original Basil Hayden's. I can't. Yeah, definitely more rye spice heavy. You just pick up a little bit more of the, not only the rye spice, but you know, the orange spice comes through. I also get a little bit more honey on the regular Basil Hayden. Even though at 80 proof, it just kind of, let's remember, Basil Hayden was designed to be an 80 proof, very approachable for beginners type of bourbon. You know, approachable, something that's sessionable, something you could just kind of sit down with and drink either all day or all night, not really feel much because it's 80 proof, it's easy on the palate, it goes down easy, doesn't burn you. So, I mean, as much as, you know, guys like me or other people that are into the cask strength bourbons, you know, might dislike this, this is for that market of people out there that want their 80 proof bourbons. All right, let's try it with the toast now. My God, they literally did. They made it smoother. Smoother. I know everyone hates that word, but they did. It's so easy. It's such an easy sipper. It's crazy. Wow. I mean, they're both 80 proof, so it's not like this one's blowing me away either, the original Basil Hayden, but you get a ton of that rye spice and black pepper. Whereas on this Basil Hayden Toast, I mean, if you like Basil Hayden and you kind of didn't like the little rye spice it gives you, and you had to add maybe a couple of rocks to kind of dull it down a little bit, add some ice to your glass. I mean, if you get this, I don't even think you'll need ice. This is just like drinking, you know, like iced tea almost. Yeah, my goodness gracious. It is, man, you talk about an easy sipper. This is probably one of the easiest sippers I've ever had in Basil Hayden's Toast. All right, let's go to the final breakdown. All right, so final breakdown for the Basil Hayden Toast. We are looking at $50 for a 750 milliliter bottle. Secondary market. Sorry, secondary market. The guys that are selling this shit on the secondary market, please stop. I've seen bottles for this for like $120 on secondary. You gotta be kidding me. Availability for this is, right now it's probably pretty limited, but this is a permanent addition to the lineup. This is gonna be around. And after the initial craze of everyone trying to grab one of these to taste it goes away, I would assume this would most likely be available as we get further down the line here. So value for me for Basil Hayden has always been, it doesn't really matter which bottle you talk about, it's always been a low value bottle, only because you're asking people to pay $50 for an 80 proofer where there's 80 proof bourbons on the shelf that you're looking at that could be, you know, 15, 16 bucks. Not to mention, if we're talking about the original bottle, that high rye mash bill, you have Old Grandad bonded, and you also have Old Grandad 114, which are true high rye, higher proof, and cheaper than the original one. So I think in those terms, you have to look at it as more of a lower value bourbon. For this one, $50, okay. Yeah, you're adding a toast to it to make it a little bit more expensive, but I still feel like it's, you know, you still got probably some young bourbon in here, and it's really not worth that $50 price tag they're asking for it. What's the most I pay for this one? I feel like, you know, I wish this bourbon was about 20, 25 bucks. especially at 80 proof. You gotta realize, Jim Beam's getting, to the party a little bit late on the toast bandwagon. Everyone is toasting. I mean, for God's sake, Wild Turkey is going to be, releasing their toasted Master's Keep pretty soon. But when you kind of look at the market and all the toasted bourbons that have come out, you can get one, you can get some toasted picks. Elijah Craig came out with their 94 proof toasted bourbon, and that one's about $50-$55. So to ask people to pay $50 for this for an 80 proof version, I think it's a little bit high. So most I'd pay, I mean, I know I'm not going to get my wish, but I do wish it was about $25. Is it a recommend? For whiskey enthusiasts? No. This is way too muted and way too easy of a sipper on the palate. If you're into high proof bourbons, even if you're just used to drinking 100 proofers, this is not going to do it. I would recommend this for absolute beginners coming into whiskey and bourbon, or I would just recommend this for people that just love drinking either Basil Hayden or like to, do not go any higher than 80 proof. You want something really easy to sip to feel absolutely no burn, then this will definitely live up to that bill for you. But anyone else that likes to drink even at 86 proof, 90, 100 will find this definitely way too boring. But again, Basil Hayden wasn't really designed for the whiskey enthusiasts as much as it was for beginners, people getting approached into bourbon, and also people looking for an 80 proof session sipper. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review for the new Basil Hayden Toast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you've had this one, what you think of it, if you think it's as easy as I think it is. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers. I'll see you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. Take care, everybody.